Hi, guys. My name is Kelsey, and welcome back to another episode of our podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about Taylor Renee Parker, a Texas woman who literally murdered her friend in her house, stabbing her multiple times, ripping open her womb, and taking her 7 months old infant. Like, you can imagine the depth of this whole story. Imagine someone doing something so horrible. And this woman that she did this thing to, this was a friend. This wasn't just anybody. It was someone that she knew, someone that she was close with. Okay, so Taylor is a Texas woman. She's 28 years old. She's living with her boyfriend in Texas. Wade Griffin, that's his name, and he's 27 at the time. So this woman, she met this guy in 2019 because this whole thing actually happened in 2020. So she met him in 2019. They started getting drinks together. They would have dinner together. Their families were even meeting each other, and they would begin to talk on social media. Before you know it, they were in a relationship. So they were living together at the time. So when she got to meet him, when she got to know this guy, she would ask him to provide for her an estimate to work on her family property because he does these jobs. Some of his side jobs included like fencing and clearing of bushes and shrubs, working on basic property work, stuff like that. So he would come back with the estimate and give it to her. At the time she had claimed that she was in charge of, their family property. She was the only one taking care of it, and she was in charge of the family account as well. So he brought another co-worker from the place that he worked to accompany him to do the work on this property. So while they are working on this family property of hers that she was said to be managing, they had purchased equipment, appliances, and supplies that was meant for the job, and this was money that came out of Wade's pocket first before, she would pay them for everything they had done at the end. That was the agreement that they had. Deep into the project, deep into the work, she had later reached out to him to let him know that her mother had apparently cut her off from the account, so she couldn't pay him for the work. And this was a job that they were almost finished, like they were almost done with this job at the time. So Wade, he had no choice. I mean, he brought his co-worker into this place, so he has to pay the guy for, the job that they did. And this was eventually the beginning of his debt. He just met this woman and then they started dating, and she has really put him in this tight spot. And as a lady that he just met, he would want to do some things to impress her. He wouldn't want to make her like uncomfortable, and he would think to himself that okay, if he pays this guy off, she would definitely refund the money after some time. That was the belief that he actually had, and she did promise him that money was coming. There were promises of money coming, but he didn't want to really ask much questions. He didn't want to dive deep because he didn't want to get involved. And they had just met, and he didn't want it to look like he was pressuring her, about the money or anything like that, because she was the one that kept talking about. She kept talking about the fact that money was coming. He had to be patient with her, even when he wasn't even complaining. So he believed her. He believed her. Money is coming, sure. So, moving forward, deep into their relationship, one day she was making him a meal, and she had invited him, to come and like eat. So they were like in the kitchen area, and he came to the dining. So when he came to the dining area, because I believe the dining area was close to, how these houses are where the dining is like across the kitchen, and you can see like the kitchen from the dining and maybe the living room as well. So he got there, and he was going to sit to have food, and he's seen baby stuff everywhere. There's like baby bottles on the counter, all those little baby things, and he's wondering what's going on. He was, a lot of things were running through his mind, like what's going on, like
is it possible she has a baby?
Yeah, he was wondering, and he sat down and boom, she blows the surprise like at him, and she's like, I was at the doctor's the other day, and it turns out I'm pregnant. Whoa. He's already owing a lot of money, and the jobs that he's doing, they're barely, fending in the house. They're barely surviving at this point, because the job they did at the property, that was a lot. It was a lot of work, and it was a lot of money that he had to pay his co-worker at the time, and this came out of his own account. And she had actually promised that money was coming, but no talks about it. There was nothing.
You wouldn't pressure a lover over money.
Over money, yes, and this relationship has not even gone too far. Maybe a month or two, or about 3 months into the relationship. So he wouldn't want to be, what about the money you talked about? What about the money you talked about? It would be uncomfortable. And this man was obviously a very calm person.
Yeah.
He barely said anything. He barely complained. He
gentleman.
was a very, very. He is the proper definition of a gentleman. Yes, because he wouldn't pressure her. Well, he wasn't ecstatic about this pregnancy, but
babies are
a
blessing. Yeah.
Well, babies are a blessing, and he just had to accept it because at the end of the day, it's his baby. I mean, if you look at the country currently with our economic issues, having a baby right now is a very, very awful idea. Like, you walk into a supermarket and you look at the price of land. Is so unimaginable. Like, affording baby stuff, feeding children is more expensive than feeding an adult. Baby clothes are more expensive than adult stuff. So I can imagine what it's like over there. I can imagine what he was thinking he would do. But as a gentleman, he would he owned up to it. It's his responsibility. So he might as well just go along with it. She would later even promise him that she later gave him some information that her aunt had texted her, letting her know that they had a family property that they wanted to, they had some properties they wanted to share among themselves in their family. And her aunt had promised her a piece of land for them to raise cows, and it's Texas, so they can have a farm, plant some animals, or plant some
have a garden,
some fruits and stuff, or raise some animals and stuff like that. So she obviously that was a lie, obviously. Because the whole point of this woman is a liar.
I'm actually wondering in the first place why she's pregnant right now, knowing that there's debt.
Because I believe that the reason why she came up with this whole pregnancy scheme was because this debt was obviously going to push this guy away from her. He was going to leave her at some point because it was a lot of money. She had promised money was coming, and obviously there was no money coming. This was a lie.
So if you had put someone in debt and the person was going to leave, not sue you, not arrest you, just leave, why would you want to keep him?
Because she's a crazy person.
Okay, so let me hear. Let me hear you.
Anyway, she had told him another lie. This was the plot of land her aunt wanted to give to them. Obviously, this was a lie, but she had told it to him so that he would be patient. It was to keep him at bay. While the money that she said was coming would, when the money comes, they would have this piece of land. They would have a lot of money at the end of the day, She had even, at some point, he was even getting calls from the bank. The banks would call him, obviously forgeries. She was doing this whole thing. This woman, she had a lot of time on her hand. She had a lot of time on her hand. She would forge, she would get like a new phone number. She would text him with those numbers, letting him know that it's, she would send him messages like she's from the bank, telling him about how the money was coming, that they were just trying to fix some issues and he should be patient. All of that. She was doing all of that stuff.
Did he have access to her account? Why are they mailing him and not her? It's her money, right?
Yes.
But they run a joint account at this point.
They were not really in a joint account. This was an account that her mother had cut her off from. Anyway, he returned back and, this woman is pregnant, money is coming, these guys are broke. All of that is just going on around him. And, well, she did have, a fake pregnancy before. In 2019, when they had just met, 3 weeks into their relationship. She had texted her boyfriend pretending to be her father, telling him that that her dad wanted her boyfriend to do some work on one of his other properties. So after texting him, she was also supposed to work on that property as well. So when she got on the site of the property, she had an accident and lost the baby. Let me blow your mind. She was doing this whole pregnancy acting so flawless. She would wake up in the morning, run into the bathroom, have this whole morning sickness routine. This guy had even claimed that he heard her throwing up numerous times. Like she was going to the hospital for doctor's appointments. She would go to the hospital for a doctor's appointment and she would come back and tell him, oh, the blood work was good, the baby's growing healthy.
You have to be a very smart a smart person, very smart, extremely smart to run that one on me. Well, it's him.
Yeah. So. Well, honestly, this woman wasn't smart. This is we're getting there, but like this is obviously not a smart one. She wasn't smart. This is someone that just came up. She just came up with this life, like a child or a teenager pretending something, and he just went along with the whole thing. He literally just went along with everything. So she was pretending to be pregnant, having this whole morning sickness thing, craving some certain types of food. She would even say the baby was kicking, she would even tell him to like put his hand on her stomach and feel the baby's movements.
And he didn't feel anything.
He felt absolutely nothing.
Okay, so people do not know that when you put your hand on the woman's belly, if she's pregnant, you actually will feel something.
You will feel
it's
something.
Not just drama. You will feel something. Put your hand there. Pay attention. It's like sound. You will get it.
He felt absolutely nothing. He said, because this man was questioned, of course, at the end of everything. He did say he felt absolutely nothing, but he would believe her. This is his girlfriend.
Okay, so
anyway, months into the relationship, and he's getting worried. She still looks the way she looked before she said she was pregnant. Where's your baby bump? What's going on? So he actually had to reach out to his mom. He reached out to his mom and asked his mom if maybe she was not showing due to a tummy tuck. Because you have a tummy tuck, and a tummy tuck is like when you it makes your stomach flat. If maybe for instance I have maybe baby fat or fat by the side of my stomach, and I go have a tummy tuck, I'll be looking. So he was wondering if maybe because she had a tummy tuck, that's why her baby, the bump wasn't showing. And his mother will let him know that there is no amount of tummy tuck in this whole universe that would prevent a pregnant woman from showing the way she's supposed to. Well,
he had a mother. Okay, now this is amazing. Go ahead, please.
He had a mother. Anyway, time went by and she had a gender review party. Yes, she had a gender review party. She even posted pictures of it on her social media. At this gender review party, she invited their friends, their family. His mother was even present at the gender review party at the time. She invited everyone. She even got a heifer. A heifer is like a baby cow. So So they put a pink bow around the heifer's neck to signify that it was going to be a baby girl, and everyone was happy and everything like that. So she was doing this pregnancy thing, she was doing it properly, She knew what to do. But she got this fake baby belly and she wore it. And in August, yes, I think it was in August, yes, of that same year, she had a maternity shoot with her boyfriend. In the pictures of the shoot, he was seen putting his hand on the baby bump. They were, it was, how maternity shoots goes.
I do.
And they were both happy in those pictures, and she posted it all over social media. All of her social media friends knew she was pregnant and having a baby. Everyone was congratulating her and all of that. And at the same time, she would always complain to Wade that, he wasn't being intimate with her, he wasn't touching her and everything like that. Now, first of all, this man wasn't even happy that she was pregnant. So I would doubt that he would even lay a finger on her again. Well, anyway, he went ahead to get himself a truck and a Nissan for his mom. Yes. He got himself a truck and a Nissan for his mom because he still believed that money was coming.
Let me understand something. This guy is in debt, right?
This guy is in debt.
He's expecting a baby.
Yes, he's in debt and expecting a baby.
He's buying cars.
He's buying cars.
Okay.
He's buying cars in more debt.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Credit cards and all of that.
He's buying cars, and it wasn't just the cars. He bought some other things that we're not really sure about. But he wasn't just buying cars. He was buying things in debt. So his debt is piling up, and Taylor is Don't worry, the money is coming. I promise you that the money is coming. Believe me, money is coming. Don't worry about it. Stuff like that, you know. Wade was taking, he was taking leave from work. He was following her to doctor's appointments. Yes.
Okay.
He was going with her to the hospitals. But when it was 2020, there was COVID. So he would sit in reception and she would go into the doctor's office and return maybe like 30 minutes or an hour later. He was sitting at reception. She would tell him that he can't come in with her because there's COVID and two of them can't go into the room, which was pretty weird because I mean, this is someone that you're having a baby with. Walk into the doctor's office, allegedly, return and be like, oh, it went well, doctor said the baby is fine, the baby is all right, and they would go home. Now, she has been pregnant for 9 months and 3 weeks. So probably almost 10 months at this point.
Right, I'll say complication. 9 months is all it takes for a baby to give birth.
Yes. There was no complication. She just didn't have a baby to give birth.
And then he didn't know that?
His friend was even telling him that because, everybody knew she was pregnant. His friends, her friends, everyone, their family. So his friend was even like, this girl, isn't her pregnancy late? Because she was supposed to give birth in September and it was already October. Like, isn't her pregnancy late? Like, don't you think this is weird? Because she had actually told him that she was having an induced labor, like she was having induced delivery. Now, you don't just have induced deliveries. They don't do it for everyone. Induced deliveries are only done when maybe there's a risk to the baby's health or the mother's health, and then they would inject you. Your uterus will contrast, and then it will force you into labor. It would like force you to deliver.
I understand that.
So there was no way he would believe that until his mother reached out to him. His mother would let him know that this thing obviously wasn't real. She's a woman. This is someone that has had children before. So when someone is not pregnant, she would know. It was pretty obvious. But that's not where it ends. Now, here's the mind-blowing part. Someone else had also reached out to him. And guess who? Her ex-husband.
Oh, wow.
This woman was married back in 2015. And this man would let her know that this woman was a prolific liar and she was obviously pretending to be pregnant. And not just that, while she was with her ex-husband, she had 2 children, like she had 2 kids that was in his custody. And you know what it's like when a woman does not have custody over her children? It's pretty obvious that she was a terrible mother. For the father, and even when both parents are like good parents, the father usually doesn't have custody of the children because he has work and he's a busy, he's usually busy and he's a man and he wouldn't be able to give the children like the full attention that they need. But a mother will be able to provide that. She will be able to carry the workload of both the father and the mother. Maybe not completely, but at least enough. But these kids were not with her. These kids were with the man. He was the one caring and taking care of them. She was even owing $8,000 in child support that she was supposed to pay.
Did he know, her new partner, did he know about this?
Yes, he was aware. Wade was aware. He was very much aware that she was previously married. His mother, she also reached out to him, and at this point, there was no way that he could have turned a blind eye. It was just impossible for him to ignore all of these things and all of these people, because everybody is wondering. Everyone knows she's pregnant. All their friends know she's pregnant. Their relatives know she's pregnant. Where's your baby? Come on. You're pregnant. Remit the baby. Show us your baby. So he sat down. He thought about all of this. This woman is pregnant, but she's late. Where's this baby? He stood up because he usually doesn't talk to her. Usually doesn't confront her, because when he had even confronted her previously, and anytime he tries to ask her something or even talk about anything like that, she would just have something to say. She always has something to say. It's just like, for instance, we're in this room together now and these sheets are like this is the color of these sheets, and I walk out of here. I come back and you've changed the sheets, they're pink now, and I'm like, Ephraim, why are the sheets pink? This is not what I left here. And you're like, I wasn't the only one in here, and when you walked out, I walked out too, and like, well, it's pink now, might as well leave it like that. So this was the kind of person that she was. She had something to say, just like with the money, just like when he would later even ask about maybe, you know, I mean, he wasn't pestering her, but you know, once in a while he would be like, how far, like, what of the money now? She would always have something to say. So at this moment, like, he just had to confront her directly. She even went a step further to forge some more text messages between she and her aunt. You know, her aunt was telling her that she shouldn't worry. She was going to have this baby and she was going to prove to them. And she would reply herself saying that she was going to shove it all in their faces when she had this baby, blah, 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 all of that, back and forth, back and forth.
Her aunt was telling her she was going to shove it in people's faces when she's... I know that.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the kind of aunt you have. That's what the kind of aunt you want to tell us.
That's the kind of aunt. No, you know, she wanted to show this image of a supporting family member kind of thing. You know, where your family is supporting what you're doing and they know that you're really pregnant because they believe that you're pregnant. So even if the world is against you, you have your family kind of thing. That was what she wanted to show. That was what she wanted to prove to everyone that was doubting her. Anyway, on 9th October, the day that she was set to have this induced delivery. She woke up that morning and, you know, she was complaining of having cramps, you know, proof that maybe she was actually going to go into labor kind of thing, even before she was going to have the induced labor. So Wade is supposed to go to the hospital with her. It's the delivery day, as she had said. So he took the day off work. I have no idea what she said to this man, but she convinced him not to go to the hospital with her. And he agreed. He dressed up that morning, told her if there was any complications, she should call him, that he would join her at the hospital in the morning and in the afternoon because she was supposed to go to register at the hospital. And he would set up for work. As he left, she hopped into her car and drove down to Regan Hancock's house. Now,
Regan Hancock, who's that?
Regan Hancock is a 21-year-old woman also living in Texas.
Okay.
These two women, they met over the internet and, you know, it didn't take long before they actually became real life friends. They were both pregnant. Well, one of them was, anyway. And Regan was 7 months pregnant at the time. You know, they would hang out together most times, chatting about how their daughters, because they were both having girls, at least, well, one of them. They would be talking about how their daughters would be friends when they would have them, and you know, all of that, you know, they bonded. They were having this sister bonding moment, and they were like, you know, they were close. They were really good friends. So she drove down to this woman's house, and Regan walks up to the door. She sees it's Taylor, it's her friend. You know, she opens the door, she lets her in. You know, she even gives her something. She serves her coffee, like, oh, it's so good to see you. It's been a while. Like, what's going on? You know, they were talking and all of that. And next thing, Regan feels like something hard hits her in the head. And you know, her eyes are shut and like she's like holding her head and like she's on the ground. Next thing, she's on the ground and she's wondering what's going on. Like she's not understanding, and she's touching her head and she can feel blood like seeping out of her head, and she's confused at this point. Like she's drifting in and out of like her consciousness. Like this was a very big blow to her head. And she struggles, she opens her eyes and she sees Taylor in front of her as she's on the ground. And this woman pulls out a scalpel. She pulls out that scalpel and she goes at her.
Wow.
She's going hard at her. She's stabbing her like in numerous places. Her arms, her legs, her face. Like she's just going at it. She's giving it all she got, like brutally.
Did she have this planned?
This didn't seem like, honestly, this thing didn't seem planned. This thing, it looks like a last moment thing. It's like, okay,
maybe because of the pressure
from everyone,
yeah.
You know, she stabs this woman until this woman is like, you know, she's dead, obviously, because I don't think anybody could have survived from that kind of brutalization. It was just too harsh. And next thing she does, she takes that same scalpel, rips open this woman's stomach.
Gosh.
Like she literally rips open her stomach and she takes her 7-month-old infant. She leaves this woman in a puddle of her own blood, like lifeless on the ground in her own home. Like she left her there with her baby. So Taylor gets in her car. She's driving to the hospital, in full speed. She wants to get to the hospital and register this child as her own. And, there are state troopers, all those police cars that are like staying by the side of the road. When someone's over speeding, they like stop you, ask for like ID and all those stuff. And she was pulled by one of these state troopers. And when he pulled her over, he noticed that she was trying to resuscitate the baby because this baby was obviously dead. I don't think this baby could have survived in any kind of way because, I believe when the host, which is Regan, is no longer alive, there couldn't have been any possible way that this baby could have survived. Even if by some chance, while the host is dead, that's Regan, maybe if the baby had survived, the distance, the time frame it would have taken from her home to the hospital, there would have been no way that this baby could have. And this is even a premature baby.
Now, people have premature babies and they are put into incubators. So if it was a medically done process,
of course,
a professionally done process, maybe the baby
would have survived. But no, this was a brutalization. So there was no way that this baby could have actually possibly survived. So this state trooper pulls Taylor over and she's trying to resuscitate the baby while she's driving, and the guy is like, the state trooper is like, he's surprised. He sees her and she's covered in blood, obviously because she just committed murder. And the umbilical cord of the baby, she stuffed it into her pants, so it would look like it's still connected to her, and she just gave birth to this baby. So she told him that she just gave birth at the side of the road, and the baby is no longer breathing, and she's trying to rush to the hospital. So the state trooper even tried to help resuscitate the baby as well. So when he failed, he called 911, and 911 came and they rushed her to the hospital. So they get to the hospital. The baby is separated from Regan. The hospital people, the doctors and all, they try to see if they can still save the baby, but it was obviously extremely too late. Well, the baby is dead, but let's check on the mother. Let's see if she's all right. So the doctors go to check on Taylor to see how she's doing, if there was any complications on her part as she had given birth to the baby. But this woman is clean. So they check her. This woman has not given birth. This is just somebody that has this baby, and we don't know who has this baby. This baby is obviously not her baby, but the hospital kept it all low-key. They didn't tell her anything, but they alerted the police. At the time when she had gotten to the hospital, Regan's mother was supposed to visit her that day. So when the woman drove down to her daughter's house, she walked through the door, and the place was open. It was open, and she walked into the room, and there's blood everywhere on the furniture, on the appliances, and at the corner of the room, her daughter was lying face down in a puddle of blood. She was devastated, and she would immediately alert
police?
No, not even the police. She called 911 first. Emergency officials would come first because she would want to salvage her daughter's life, even if not their daughter's life. Maybe let's see if the baby had survived. So when 911 had come, they came, she was lying face down. They flipped the body over, to check for probable cause of death, which was obvious. It was pretty obvious, stab wounds everywhere. And they noticed the big, rip on her stomach. And this woman that was pregnant, so you would see, obviously she was showing. So even from looking at the body, you can tell that this was a pregnant woman. So when they would take a closer look, they saw that there was a big opening in her stomach and there's no baby there. It wasn't very hard for the officials to connect this whole thing because over here, there's a woman with no sign of pregnancy with a baby that's obviously not hers. And on the other hand, there's a dead woman with her baby missing. So it was easy to connect the dots. So she was later arrested at the hospital and her boyfriend was called in. Now, when this guy got to the hospital, she called him to come. He was thinking, seems like she has given birth. Okay, let's go and take a look at this baby. Okay, finally, at least we can rest from all of this drama that has been happening.
She called him.
Yes. He got to the hospital and this guy was he was arrested. Like the police just, they cuffed him and he was taken to a separate room and he was interrogated because they had assumed that
For 9 months. How were you with somebody?
and you didn't know.
You didn't know all of
They
it.
had assumed that this
He
thing,
was party to it.
Yes, they assumed they had plotted the whole thing, and he explained everything, that he also thought she was pregnant, and she would actually later admit that she was lying to him, and he was innocent.
That was his luck.
Yeah,
Because if she wanted to rope him
she
in,
could have easily
How
done
would you
it.
be with somebody 9 months
And you didn't know, yeah.
not to say anything.
And the thing is that when during her questioning, like, because the police questioned her about everything, this woman would lie about the damnest thing. Like when they asked her about how she knew Regan, because you can't just murder someone just like that, just walk up to their house. You have to know them, at least even if not close, from far. She said she didn't really know her, that she thought they were the same age, and what led to her murder was a fight, that they got into a fight. After further questioning, that she later came up, she fessed up to the whole thing. She confessed that, oh, this was what she actually did. And she's actually currently one of the 7 women on death row. I don't know if she has
I
actually...
was waiting to hear what her sentence was, what the sentence was.
Death row. Like her boyfriend even came to court to protest. He came to speak against her. He came to testify against her. He came to tell them that she should actually be put on death row for her crime, because this guy, when he even came to court, they would ask him if he had pressured her in any way to commit the murder, and he was like no, and it was pretty obvious because this guy wasn't even asking questions.
Communications will show. When people begin to do investigations, they will check for communications, mails, text messages, all of those, to be sure was she under some sort of pressure to do a thing like this? Even if you were under pressure.
I mean,
was that kind of crime?
And the craziest part, it was when he got to court that he actually realized that the first pregnancy was loose. Now, let me blow your mind once again. In 2015, while she was still married to before she had met Wade, because I believe that she was no longer married to her husband at the time, this woman had a hysterectomy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So there's actually no way she would have been pregnant.
There is, because when you look at this story, you would be like, okay, if you had pretended to be pregnant, why not just actually become pregnant? Why not just be pregnant 1 month, then?
2 months into it, get pregnant.
Yeah, just get pregnant. But there was no way she could have possibly been pregnant because she had a hysterectomy. She literally, there was no biological way that she could have possibly been pregnant. And here's another mind-blowing thing. Her mother knew about this hysterectomy. Her mother was aware that she had a hysterectomy, but her mother never really said anything because she was also brought to the court to testify.
So she never said anything. Wasn't this a beating, that crime that was in process?
Well,
you were already deceiving somebody. That deceit was already a crime in process.
Yeah, obviously. But, the woman just thought that she would lie about this whole thing and then eventually she would fess up. And
you didn't care to tell the person she was lying to?
Well, while Taylor was in a relationship with Wade, she found a way to cut her mother off. She told her boyfriend that her mother hired a hit on her. Her mother wanted to kill her. So the guy actually cut off from their mother. So the woman there was no way that she could have, told them anything. But I feel like if she had actually, gone to their house, found a way to reach out to them.
I'm wondering right now if Wade's genealogy was checked, if there's any link to him in Africa. Is he really? These things are things that you would say if it were in Africa that this person is not. How would somebody you're dating just tell you all these lies, and then she tells you your mother had a hit on her, and you would believe
everything she says? He just digests it.
Oh yeah.
But it was crazy because these lies, she didn't do 1 or 2 things, the whole pretense, but it wasn't enough to back up the lies. It wasn't enough. And okay, Wade on his part, he knew that she was once married and he knew she had children, but it was pretty obvious that she did not care for her children. So would you really want this person to be the mother of your own child?
Have you asked how, or whatever reasons
they separated?
Kept her away from the children.
Obviously, yeah, and it was just, it was crazy, and at the end of the day, well, she is being punished, or was sentenced, and she's punished for her crimes, and the lady with the baby, she did lose her life and her baby, and that will forever scar her family, her mother, and the rest of her family. But
the beautiful part is that there's justice.
There's justice at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all for today on this story. Hope to see you guys next time.